Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on where you're watching. I'm here in Tampa Bay, so it's just a little bit after 12 p.m. here on the East Coast. Appreciate everybody who's joining me in the chat. I see we got a lot of folks already chatting about some of their favorite picks. If you guys have questions on any of your favorite picks, hold them till the end, and I'll definitely help you out with those. This is the CJ Curry Show, the #1 live prize picks show in the world. Is it safe for me to say that? In the world? I mean, you guys let me know. You like the show, right? If you are liking the show, drop a like on today's video. PrizePicks, sponsor of the show. They are doing a 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit all the way up to $100. Promo code Curry. Take advantage if you have not yet. How did your weekend go, gang? You guys in the live chat, you guys who are watching the replay are in the comments section. Guys, let me know how your weekend's been. I'll tell you this, over the last 3 or 4 days or so in our Patreon group, I think we've went 11, 4, and 1, which is good for over 70% hit rate or win rate on our recent picks. Those are picks that I've researched and provided myself. We had a couple of bad beats yesterday. LeBron James, 8.5 rebounds. I had him going for more than that. Ended up with 8. He was 1 rebound shy of hitting the over. 1 rebound shy. So that was unfortunate. He ended up getting stuck at 8, had all the time and opportunities in the world. The other one that I played was Kristaps Porzingis under or for less than 29.5 PRA, and had the game ended in regulation like it should have, he would have covered. But unfortunately, that game ended up going to overtime because Donovan Mitchell had a couple of costly turnovers at the end of the game. So unfortunately, that pick did not end up working out. But we were on Gordon Hayward going for more than 4.5 assists, and we were on Yusuf Nurkic going for more than 10.5 rebounds, and both of those picks came through. So we ended up splitting yesterday. But shout out to the Patreon gang. I see a lot of y'all in the chat. So let's run through the chat real quick, say what's up, and then we'll get down to business here. I am trash in Roblox says, let's go. Mark H, what's up with you? Another one of my Tampa guys in the building. He says it's money making Monday, y'all. Yeah, I like that. That's good energy. Rumsey says, hey, Van Vleet assist is a free square. We'll talk about that one in just a moment. That's one of the few picks that I have lined up for today's live stream show. Ronald Green says, what's up? What's up to you? Isaac's in the building. He's saying Banchero fantasy score is a lock. You know I'm an Orlando Magic homer. I'm an Orlando Magic fan, and Paolo Banchero's looking like the real deal. Jorge, or George, however you'd like to pronounce it, is back. He says, good morning. Good morning back to you. Kyle's in the building. Shout out to Kyle, one of our Patreon members. Rumsey says, hey, what's up, CJ? For your information, boys, it's Jaylen Brown's birthday. Shout out to Jaylen Brown. Happy birthday. Maybe a little bit of birthday narrative for the Boston Celtics wingman, Jaylen Brown. Maybe we take some more or over picks on him. Blake's in the building, says, what's up, Chef? And happy Money Making Monday to all. Shout out to the Patreon gang rolling through the early season, though. If you haven't joined yet, what are you waiting for? Literally pays for itself. Listen, I think this is a good opportunity for us to hop over to the Winner's Circle inside of the free Discord. That's right, there's a free Discord. Link down in the description below. You can check out the free Discord if you have not yet. But inside Discord, you will see that there was many people who was winning many dollars on prize picks over the weekend. So we're going to take a look at those real quick. Let's flip over to here. Boom. And here we are at the Winner's Circle. You see a couple of 5 picks that went 4 for 5 as we scroll up. Don P, one of our Discord members, one of our Patreon members. Big day for Don P. King K was in the Winner's Circle. We got Ace the Don. We got looks like my man Brock made it to the Winner's Circle with some big wins. All these winning entries provided by members of our community. We're in there sharing picks. We're in there talking about our favorite plays, sharing stats, sharing information. De Niro in his bag was definitely in his bag over the weekend. He had some winning entries. Kips, King K. We even got Sniper Huncho winning on other sites outside of Prize Picks. Bearded Gator showing up in here. Just a lot of wins, guys. These are all from yesterday. I could scroll and talk forever. But if you're not part of a community yet, if you're not part of a group who are looking to help one another win, I've got a really good one. And at just $20 a month, it helps support the content, helps support the channel. But these were all winning entries that we provided inside the community, whether they were picks provided by myself or other members of the community. We just had a very profitable weekend for the most part. So if you're looking for a group, this is a good one. This is a good one for you to join. Definitely think about joining the Patreon. Links for that down in the description below. Let's solve Poeltl today, though, gang. We got Poeltl to solve, and then we'll get into the picks. But yes, shout out to all the Patreon members who had winning tickets. I see you guys. You guys were in there absolutely smashing. All right, Poeltl. It's the NBA guessing game. We got to figure out who the mystery player is. I'm going to start off with one of the guys that's playing tonight, and he made the thumbnail today. I'm talking about the Joker, Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. Listen, I guessed Nikola Jokic and nothing hit. Absolutely nothing hit. Not even a partial match. No yellow, no green on here. So we know this player is not in the Western Conference, is not a center. He is shorter than 6'11". He is younger than 27 years old and has a jersey number that is higher than 15. That really just leaves a lot of options. Dave is guessing Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Spida Mitchell having himself a pretty good season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Speaking of the Cavaliers, we do have a match here. This is a Cleveland Cavalier, apparently. It is not Donovan Mitchell, though, but it obviously plays in the Eastern Conference Central Division, is a guard, someone who's taller than 6'1". It was very recently, by the way, gang. very recently that I found out that Donovan Mitchell was only 6'1". For some reason in my head, I'm thinking he's more like D Wade size. Kind of plays like D Wade, 6'3", 6'4", but no, he's only 6'1". Anyways, this guy's taller than 6'1". He's younger than 26 years old, and the jersey number, it's got to be one below 45. Below 45. Darius Garland coming up. That's not a bad guess. We haven't seen a whole lot of Darius Garland to start the season. But yeah, it could be Darius Garland. I mean, we know it's a Cleveland Cavalier. Let's take a look here. Darius Garland is the guess. Not Darius Garland, though. Although we got a little bit closer with the age. Garland, younger than Mitchell. But this player is still younger than Darius Garland by like a year or two, right? We're like a year or two off. And Garland is 6'1", so we know it's not Darius Garland. We got folks saying Ricky. Are you talking about Ricky Rubio? I don't even think he's with the Cavaliers anymore. I want to say he got traded, so I don't think it's Ricky Rubio. We got Evan Mobley being guessed here. We know it's not Evan Mobley because this player's a guard, right? Can't be Mobley. Isaac Okoro. Let's take a look at the silhouette because you might be onto something. That kind of looks like Darius Garland in the silhouette. We know it's not Darius Garland because we've already guessed him. Another guy who potentially has a headband, maybe some cornrows or braids of some sort. I mean, this has to be Isaac Okoro, right? I can't think of anybody else on the team who fits the guard profile, a little bit taller than 6'1", who's younger than 22 years old. Gotta be Isaac Okoro. I'm going to go with Isaac Okoro. Shout out to Jorge or George because he just got it right. It is Isaac Okoro. We solved it in 4 guesses, gang. Shout out to Mr. Gonzalez, JG Wentworth, coming through with the money pick in Isaac Okoro. Yes, that's all you, brother. You're the only one that I saw out here spitting out Isaac Okoro, who has been in the starting lineup recently with Darius Garland out. So good call. All right, let's move on to some news for today. Before we start talking some picks, I got 5 picks lined up for you guys. 5 picks lined up for you guys, and I think there's some solid historical research, some information, some data, some statistics that help support why we should go for the more or the less on these picks. We'll get to those in just a minute. Before we do that, let's check in on today's news real quick. We'll run through these games. Got a medium-sized slate, tips off at 7 p.m. We got the Indiana Pacers at the Philadelphia 76ers. This one has a total of 228.5, pretty meaty total there, but it is a 12-point spread. So if you're going to play any overs or mores on this particular game, I'd probably say you might want to look at first half only because this game does have high likelihood of being a blowout. All right. Indiana at Philly. Toronto at Miami, 7:30 p.m. tip-off with this one. We got a number of different guys for the Miami Heat that are out. Jovic, not to be confused with Jokic, but Jovic is out. Martin, Oladipo, and Yurtseven all out for Miami. And then on the flip side, keep an eye on Scotty Barnes. There's a reason why people are high on some Fred VanVleet assists today. Scotty Barnes rolled his ankle. He's dealing with an ankle sprain. I think they're going to try to see if he could go tonight. If he cannot go, I've got a couple of picks that we should definitely be considering. We'll talk about those from this Toronto game. But 215 points, 3.5-point spread. By the way, these teams just played each other one game, so they're running it back on a back-to-back rematch type of thing. Orlando at New York. My Orlando Magic still have not found the win column yet. 0-3. But man, I've seen some things that really got me excited as an Orlando Magic fan. This one's got a 220.5 point total with a 7.5-point spread favoring the home team, the New York Knicks. Could it turn into a blowout? It could, but Orlando's been competing. I don't know if you guys happen to catch the Boston Celtics game. We're going to make it a tough night out for the New York Knicks. I think this game does end up staying close, and we should see most of the starters for 4 quarters of play. Speaking of the Boston Celtics, listen, they're taking on the Chicago Bulls tonight. This one's got a 226-point total with a 6-point spread. Obviously, Gallinari's out for the season. Robert Williams is out. Looks like Al Horford will more than likely rejoin the starting lineup. He did sit out against the Orlando Magic. Then over on the Chicago Bulls side, Lonzo Ball is ruled out. But stay on top of the news. Both of these teams, they got guys who tend to kind of be ruled out close to tip-off. So you want to make sure that you're staying on top of news and you're ready to make a pivot when that news drops, you know? That's how you find some value, some quick value. If you can be quicker than the lines makers on PrizePicks, you can find some value. Utah at Houston, big total here, 231.5 points with a 1.5 point spread. This game should be great to take some overs, some mores in this particular game. A lot of points expected to be scored. One of the highest totals on the night with a spread of 1.5. I got a pick lined up for this one that I think will look really, really, really juicy. So we'll talk about that one in just a minute. San Antonio Spurs at the Minnesota Timberwolves. No impactful injury news on really either side of this game. 234 points total. That might be the highest total of the night, guys. 9-point spread favoring the home team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Brooklyn Nets at the Memphis Grizzlies. 232.5. Another big 230 or higher total. Guys, we got a lot of high-scoring games tonight. 1.5 point spread. I got a pick from this game that I'm also going to talk about, and it comes from the Brooklyn Nets side. I don't know if you guys know, but we'll get into it. Denver Nuggets versus the Portland Trail Blazers, getting into some of these late night games. 227.5 points, 5-point spread favoring the Denver Nuggets. We've got the battle of the big Nikola Jokic versus Jusuf Nurkic. It's always fun when these two dudes lock horns. Former teammates, obviously Nurkic once a Denver Nugget. They shipped him out. They kind of felt like Joker is the future, and boy, were they right. 2-time MVP, trying to make it 3-time MVP. Nikola Jokic taking on Nurkic, but I got a pick on Jokic that we'll take a look at together that, might make a little bit of sense. May not make you feel comfortable and warm and fuzzy inside, but might make a little bit of sense once we get into it. So we'll talk about these 5 picks. I've got them all kind of queued up here over on PrizePicks. Let me move some stuff around here, gang, and get organized and situated. We're going to definitely be using props.cash to do our player prop research today. So if you're not using props.cash yet, you should definitely check it out. It's just $19.99 a month. Code Curry gets you 20% off your first, 25% off, not 20%. 25% off your first month on props.cash. So let's go ahead and get signed in here. And while we're signing in, the first pick of the night that I think we should consider if and only if Scottie Barnes is out is Pascal Siakam's fantasy score at 42.5. A lot of people are on his assists, but we're not getting the assists on the PrizePicks board. PrizePicks is not giving us the assist today. So I think fantasy score is a good look. Now, one way that you could do some fantasy score research is by using a site that is totally free. It's called StatMuse. Check out StatMuse if you haven't yet. Here's why I'm liking Pascal Siakam's fantasy score without Scottie Barnes. Here's how you use StatMuse, right? You type in Pascal Siakam's name, Pascal Siakam, FanDuel points, because FanDuel scoring is the same as PrizePicks scoring. So they are exactly the same. You get the same points for PrizePicks as you do FanDuel, all right? FanDuel points without Scottie Barnes. And then make sure you include the word logs at the end there. Hit enter, and boom. You get some pretty juicy looking results here, gang. There's been 5 games played by Pascal Siakam without Scottie Barnes in the lineup. And in all 5 games, 5 for 5, 100% hit rate, my man Pascal Siakam has gone over 42.5 fantasy score without Scottie Barnes. He had 52.8, 54.6, 45.9, 67.3, and 50.2. Okay, 5 games without Scottie Barnes. He has went over 42.5 fantasy score in all 5 games. Now, on top of that, you can see the chart here on PrizePicks. PrizePicks helping us out by providing the last 5 games. 3 straight games now. Pascal Siakam has gone over 42.5 fantasy score. 42.7 against Cleveland. 64.9 against Brooklyn. And then against tonight's opponent, the Miami Heat, he's already dropped 51.1 fantasy score on them this season. Gang, in the chat, let me know inside the chat if you think this looks like a good pick, if and only if Scottie Barnes is out. Now, as Michael is saying, Barnes was just announced as a game time decision, so you got to stay on top of the news, right? If Barnes is in, we like this less. If Barnes is out, we could go ahead and get this locked in. This could end up getting bumped up if and only if Scottie Barnes is out. So you guys want a projection? You guys want a projection on this? Thumbs up in the chat if you want a projection. Thumbs up if you're liking Pascal Siakam's fantasy score without Scottie Barnes. If you're not liking it, leave a thumbs down in the chat and let me know why. let's talk about it, gang. If you're not liking it, let me know why. As of right now, though, I got Pascal Siakam projected for 44.6 fantasy score. 44.6, obviously more than the 42.5. So I think this is looking like a pretty good move, pending, and only pending if we have Scottie Barnes ruled out. But just to take a look at this a little bit further, as far as DVP goes, defense versus position, we're starting to get some DVP data here. The Miami Heat, when it comes to small forwards, giving up the most fantasy score points per game to opposing small forwards, over 62 fantasy score per game allowed by the Miami Heat to small forwards. Take a look at the power forward position. The Miami Heat still giving up a pretty good amount here at 45.8. 45.8. Siakam needs 43. And then we'll also take a look at the center position, because sometimes Siakam plays the 5 in a small ball situation. Miami giving up almost 48 fantasy scored per game to center. So that's how they do against opposing front court. Small forwards, power forwards, and centers giving up quite a few fantasy points per game. So I think that one looks pretty decent. No Filter says, I avoid playing props against Miami. I hear you, No Filter, but I say again, he just put up 51.1 fantasy score against the Miami Heat 1 game ago. So we know the dude can get it done. Listen, we could even take this a step further if you wish. Using StatMuse, you could do Pascal Siakam FanDuel points versus the Miami Heat. And include the word logs, because everybody likes a good log. But anyway, you can take a look at see how Pascal Siakam has fared against the Miami Heat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. His last 5 games, he has gone over in every single game against the Miami Heat. Do not be so worried. Do not be so scared about Pascal Siakam covering his fantasy score. He is 5 for 5 without Scottie Barnes. He is 5 for 5 against the Miami Heat in his last 5 games. I don't know what else I could do to ease your worries, but I think it's looking pretty juicy. Now that you know that he's 5 for 5 against the Heat in his last 5, are you feeling better about it? Let me know, No Filter. Let me know. Maybe you're feeling a little more confident in Pascal Siakam tonight. All right? Everyone loves a good log C, Chav. You know how it goes. All right, another one that you guys have mentioned that I see floating around today is Fred VanVleet at 6 assists. Yes, this one looks like a pretty darn good play. Do I wish we got him at 5.5? Yeah, of course. I wish we got him at 5.5, but PrizePicks be bumping, and PrizePicks has been bumping this morning, and they bumped Fred VanVleet from 5.5 to 6. So, do we still like it at 6? I think we do, and here's why. Let's go take a look using props.cash. We'll go to the assists category. We'll change this up from Toronto to Miami. And then we'll go find Fred VanVleet. We'll take a look at everything from last season. Now, he is currently set at 5.5 using props.cash. At 5.5, he was 45 for 72, a 63% hit rate, averaged 6.7 assists per game last season. So he could definitely hit for more than 6 assists, right? Even though he's been bumped to 6, I think 6 is still okay. 63% hit rate, 6.7 assists per game. How did he do against Miami last season? Well, I'm so happy you asked. He was 4 for 5 against the Miami Heat. 4 for his last 5, including the game they just played 1 game ago where he dropped 10 dimes. So, yeah, he does a pretty good job, averaging 7 assists per game against the Miami Heat. 4 out of his last 5. Now, we take this research a step further because we don't just stop there. Not on this channel, not on this show. No, we take it a step further. And we're going to do that by taking Scottie Barnes out of the lineup and saying, what happens when Scottie Barnes isn't there? What happens to Fred VanVleet's assists? Do they go up? Do they go down? Do his hit rates improve? Or does he struggle? Well, taking him out, you see that Fred VanVleet's assist number goes from 6 to 7, over 7, 7.3 assists to be exact. His last 5 games without Scottie Barnes, he's averaging 7.4. So we see a hit rate here. 6 out of 7 at 5.5 assists, 86%. Even if we bump him up to 6, he's still pushing or better at 6 out of 7, 86%. If we bump him up to 6.5, because if he's at 6 and we don't want to push, we're going to need 7 out of this guy, right? Still a pretty healthy number, 5 for 7, 71% hit rate for Fred VanVleet when Scottie Barnes is sitting out. So again, this is hinging on Scottie Barnes being out for Toronto tonight, just like the Pascal Siakam over fantasy score one was. Taking a look at the DVP here. Defense versus position. We could get an idea how many assists the Miami Heat are giving up to point guards over the first couple of games of the season. Again, this is very early information, early data, but you can see Miami's giving up about 5.5 assists per game to shooting guards. Or point guards. For shooting guards, they're giving up about 3.4 assists. So you kind of combine the two, it's a little over 9 assists per game to opposing backcourts. But again, his usage will go way up without Scotty Barnes in the lineup. Another thing that we could take a look at here is using the NBA Advanced Stats page. We could take a look at how many potential assists Fred VanVleet has per game so far this season. The way that you do that is you pull this up here, you go down to the Toronto Raptors, you click their name, and then you click Get Stats, right? And then it'll populate all the potential assists. Fred VanVleet actually leading the team in potential assists so far this season. This is through 3 games, over 14 potential assists per game, averaging 8 assists on those 14.3 potentials. So he's converting those assists at a pretty high clip here. So I think the 6 assists is still in play, especially if Scotty Barnes is out. Guys, thumbs up in the chat if you're liking them more on Fred VanVleet at 6 assists. Now we're going to take this a step further because that's what we do here. All right, we dig deep on these props. We dig deep on these plays and try to get you as much information as we can so that you can make an informed decision with your money. That's what it's all about, right? These are like highly volatile short stocks, right? These are kind of like daily stocks, right? Anyway, he's projected for 5.5 assists. I'd imagine this number goes up once Barnes is officially ruled out. We take a look at where he's at on opposing sports books and betting sites. He's at 5.5 everywhere right now. A lot of action on the over or the more than 5.5. They're slamming the crap out of the over at 5.5, which is why PrizePicks had to be forced into bumping this up to 6. So there you go. 2 very good options for you on the Toronto Raptors side. That was Pascal Siakam for more than 42.5 fantasy score. And that was Fred VanVleet for more than 6 assists if Scotty Barnes is out. That is the key factor here. Now I want to take you out west. We talked about the Joker, Nikola Jokic, taking on his former teammate, Jusuf Nurkic, right? Let's go all the way down here and find Joker. 53.5 fantasy score. Guys, I don't know if you're going to believe what I'm telling you here, but Nikola Jokic versus Jusuf Nurkic, when it comes to fantasy score, listen, Joker has a hard time covering his fantasy score against Jusuf Nurkic, his former teammate. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. You guys let me know if you're rocking with it or not. All I do is present the facts here, gang. All right? I'm a very numbers-driven decision maker. I'm going to show you the numbers right now. So you're going to type in Nikola Jokic, FanDuel points versus Jusuf Nurkic, and include the word logs because it's just a fun word to say. Logs. You want the logs. You want Nikola Jokic logs here. Anyway, Jusuf Nurkic versus Nikola Jokic. His number is 53.5 fantasy score, right? 53.5. I'm going to just show you something here. The last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, he has went under 53.5 fantasy score when facing off against Jusuf Nurkic. All right. We got a total, in fact, of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games played against Nurkic. He's only went over 53.5 FanDuel or fantasy score twice in those games. Just twice, 61 and 62.5. But in the last 5 games, most recent games, he has stayed under 53.5 fantasy score against Nurkic. Could be a tough matchup. Could be a tough game for Nikola Jokic tonight against Jusuf Nurkic. Now let's go take a look at the DVP real quick. We'll go to the center position. Hey, don't be changing my screen. We'll go to the center position here. We'll go over to the FanDuel points column. And we'll take a look at the Portland Trail Blazers and see how many fantasy points they've allowed to opposing centers through their first couple of games. It's just 43.3, gang. Not a whole lot. My boy Nurkic, in accordance with Jeremy Grant, right? They got Jeremy Grant, newly acquired Jeremy Grant. They've been locking down opposing centers. Just 43.3 fantasy score per game allowed to opposing centers. That is the third fewest. Very early on, very limited data, limited details here, but the third fewest fantasy score. So Jokic could be in trouble tonight. All right. I'm just saying he could potentially struggle tonight. Another thing that I like to do when it comes to fantasy score research, and maybe you guys want to implement this into your prop research process, is taking a look at a combination of stats. So we got the points, rebounds, and assists here for Nikola Jokic. Right now, he is set at 45.5 on most sports books. He is a slight betting favorite to go over at 45.5 and 44.5. Another thing that you could do is incorporate the steals and blocks. They have him as a betting favorite to go under for 2.5 steals and blocks. So you can expect maybe 2 steals and blocks, right? So you kind of incorporate that information in there, and then you can kind of do a little bit of math, right? You add the points, which are 1 for 1. You add the rebounds, you get 1.2 points for every rebound. And then you add the assists, you get 1.5 for every assist. That's how the fantasy scores are calculated. And then you get 3 points for every steal and block, and -1 for each turnover. So you can kind of take a look at how the Vegas lines are looking, what they're set at, how the action's coming in on the over or under. Add those calculations up and see what kind of fantasy score that you get, and then compare it to what you've got here on PrizePicks. But to make your life a little easier, to make it simple for you, I'm just going to put in Jokic's name. We've got a projection on Nikola Jokic at 54.5 fantasy score. All right, they said one of the lines moved here. I think it was one that we have not talked about yet, and that was Jordan Clarkson. We'll get to him in just a minute. Actually, let's go look at it now. Let's go look at it now because they just moved Jordan Clarkson's assist line. Either that or they took it off the board completely. They took it off the board completely. Those rascals. Those rascals. How dare they? How dare they? Well, they took Jordan Clarkson's assists off the board. I think he was at 3.5 though, gang. You guys let me know in the chat. I don't remember, but I think it was at 3.5. Opposing backcourts versus the Houston Rockets this season have been racking up the points, the rebounds, and the assists against the Rockets. If you go back to game 1, you remember what Trae Young and DeJounte Murray did? They absolutely thrashed the Houston Rockets. Then you think about the next game, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane. We don't even really need to go into great detail. Ja Morant went for like 49 points. I think Bane and Morant combined for like nearly 15 assists. So opposing backcourts, like that of the Utah Jazz, have been absolutely having their way with the Houston Rockets early on this season. Jordan Clarkson, I'm going to pull it up anyways because there's other sites out there that aren't afraid to give us Jordan Clarkson's assists, all right? And if you're playing on one of those other sites where you can get Jordan Clarkson's assists, well, this one's for you. I wish we could have nabbed it. I wish we could have nabbed it at 3.5. At 3.5, though, just looking at the last few games, Jordan Clarkson has been killing it. 5, 6, and 6 to start the season. 5, 6, and 6 to start the season. All right, this is why I was on Jordan Clarkson at 3.5 assists. I don't know if that was a mistake. I don't know if it was an error, but it was looking pretty darn good. As far as potential assists go, we can go take a look at that real quick. Switch this up from the Toronto Raptors to the Utah Jazz. Click Get Stats. And then you look at the potential assists. Jordan Clarkson, 8.3 potential assists. His assist line was at 3.5. He's second on the team in potential assists through 3 games. So if you could still get Jordan Clarkson at 3.5 dimes elsewhere, listen, go take it, man. Go take it. Maybe you play on a sports book. Maybe you play on another one of these prop pick'em sites. But Jordan Clarkson at 3.5 assists, they snagged it from us. They didn't want us to have nice things. I think it's still a good look. So definitely go take a look at Jordan Clarkson. We'll get you a projection while we're talking JC real quick. Well, shoot, he's not even on the board. He's not even on Fantasy Labs right now from the looks of it. I don't even know if I can get you a projection here on Jordan Clarkson. Let me see. Oh, there we go. 3.8. His line is at 5.5. So if you got that at 3.5, you just got yourself a freaking steal. All right. He's at 5.5 assists on all major sports books. So if they put Jordan Clarkson back up, you're probably going to see him at 5 assists. I would say that's a fair number. They'll probably put him up at 5. Maybe they put him up at 5.5, but we're not going to see that 3.5 anymore. I don't know if it was an error. I don't know if you want to call it an obvious mistake, but yeah, Jordan Clarkson. Gone, baby, gone. But it was looking pretty damn sweet at 3.5. So if you can get him somewhere else, take it. The last one I want to talk about is Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons at 6.5 assists, gang. Done a pretty good job at 6.5 dimes. He had 8 against Toronto. We know he got into foul trouble against the New Orleans Pelicans, which limited his minutes and therefore limited his output. But I'm not afraid to go back to Ben Simmons. Let's take a look at Ben tonight. Again, we talked about this game having one of the highest totals on the board. Let's just go refresh your memories here. Brooklyn, Memphis expected for over 232 points with a tight spread of negative or minus 1.5. So this is looking pretty good here. Ben Simmons for more than 6.5 assists more. Let's go dig in a little bit deeper. And again, if you have questions, we're going to get to those in just a moment. This is the last pick I'm discussing. Then I'll turn things over to you guys, and then we'll take your questions. And we'll start talking about your favorite picks. We'll run through those really quick. So hold your horses if you have any type of questions. But yes, Ben Simmons, 5 assists and 8 assists to open the seasons, played in 2 games thus far. Again, we talked about the reason he had such limited output was he got in foul trouble. He was dealing with the monster known as Zion Williamson. So just 23.2 minutes played in that game, but he comes back playing over 32 minutes in the next game against Toronto, drops 8 dimes. So I think Ben Simmons makes some sense tonight. Let's go look at the potential assists per game through 2 games for Ben Simmons. Head on over, tap the Brooklyn Nets, click Get Stats, and you'll see that the potential assist leader on the team is none other than Ben Simmons at 12.5. Yes, that number would have been higher had he played more in that very first game against New Orleans. In fact, we could go ahead and take a look at the last game and look at just the potential assists for the last game. And you can see he had 13 potentials in 32.5 minutes played, ended up with 8 dimes. So I think Ben Simmons at 6.5 assists might be just a tad too low. I like this for more than 6.5. So we'll head back here, get you a projection on Ben Simmons. We'll start taking some of your favorite picks and props and questions. So got him projected for 6.4 at 6.5 on your favorite sports books. He is a big betting favorite, minus 145, minus 154 to go over 6.5. Even a site like PointsBet, we're seeing him as a 7.5. His assist line is set at 7.5. Now they are betting the under at 7.5. So somewhere between 6.5 and 7.5 is 7 assists. So I think if you're getting him at 6.5, then you're probably going to click the more on Ben Simmons. More. Jordan Clarkson, is he back at 3.5? If he's back at 3.5, I'm just going to lock this in and put a little 25 on it. Oh, there it is. They changed it. He's back to 5.5. All right, I'm staying away at 5.5. I'm staying away at 5.5. And I'm going to wait for Scotty Barnes news for the Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam plays. But listen, if Barnes is ruled out, gang, jump up on it. Jump up on it. All right. Time for your questions. You guys let me know. Overall, though, I think we landed on 5 really solid picks. Sorry that the Clarkson play did not hang around longer. It be like that sometimes, gang. It be like that. My man C. Chavis saying fade Simmons. He's not wanting any part of the man known as Ben Simmons. Bearded Gator says he was trying to lock Clarkson in and they yanked it. They sure did yank it. Damn them. That's all right. That's all right. I'm sure some people took advantage. Jake, scrolling back up, Jake Becker says that can we look at Tyrese Halliburton for 28.5 points plus assists? We can. That has been a very popular play. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton has been doing his thing. I like it. I think it looks pretty good, but I am concerned about the blowout here. Will the Indiana Pacers let this young fella run late into the game, deep into the game, if this game ends up blowing out? That's my question. That's my concern. So I mean, one thing that you could do is go Tyrese Halliburton for maybe like first half PRA at 16.5, or you could look at his first half fantasy score at 19.5. Kind of struggled with that, PRA, a little bit better than the fantasy score. Not terrible, right? He's covered in 2 out of 3 games. That could be a move. His points, 2 out of 3 as well, but maybe you consider him as a first half only play. But you're asking about the full game. Maybe he plays through a potential blowout versus Philly. He's at 28.5 points plus assists. We're not getting any of those fancy little bar graphs for this pick, guys, so we're going to have to dig in using props.cash. So let's do that. We'll go points plus assists. We'll take a look at Indiana versus Philly. Again, blowout potential. I'm going to warn you guys that this game could blow out. It very well could blow out. Let's look at the last 30 games. Games played without Malcolm Brogdon because we're still kind of relying on last season's data. We've got a few games under our belts finally, but we can't take Malcolm Brogdon out of here. All right, never mind then. Points plus assists is at 28.5. You can kind of see what he's done over his last 10 games. I know Brogdon wasn't there for most of those. 38, 32, 36, but in the first 3 games to start this season, 33, 39, and 34, he's been blowing the doors off of 28.5. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely say take Tyrese Halliburton. If you're not concerned with the blowout, well then, fire him up. As far as points allowed by the Philadelphia 76ers to opposing point guards, they again, like last season, are a pretty tough team against point guards. 18.6 points per game allowed with 7.5 assists allowed per game. So that puts you at about 26, right? Points plus assists allowed per game to point guards through the very early stages of the season. Points and assists projection for Halliburton, I've got him projected for 28, putting him really close to 28.5. Might be a little bit too close, I'm not seeing enough of an edge here. At 28.5, he's a betting favorite to go over, minus 125 on a couple of books, minus 120 over on BetMGM though. So the betting public kind of torn on this pick. I think it's getting a little bit too high and it's a blowout. I'm a little worried about it. Got to be honest with you. That's why I didn't talk about it today. Got to be honest with you. Let's see here. Kyle Kaz is asking about Jaylen Brown's stocks, steals plus blocks. We're also looking at Cole Anthony assists under being mentioned by D'Angelo Sinning. We don't talk a lot about steals and blocks on here, but Kyle's on Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown has opened the season with 3, 4, and 2 combination of blocks and steals. So Jaylen Brown's going to be your shooting guard, small forward. We'll call him a small forward. I think he's been playing more of the 3 for Boston. If we had to be forced to plug him into one of the 2, I'd say he's probably more of a small forward. But we'll look at the shooting guard, both wing spots. But yeah, he's going up against the Chicago Bulls tonight. Should be a pretty decent game as far as up and down. 0.89 steals allowed per game so far and about 0.89 blocks allowed so far to opposing small forwards. So they're not blowing your socks off or anything like that. And then as far as shooting guards, they're allowing 1.2 steals and about 0.83 blocks. Could it happen? Yeah, I mean, it could happen, right? A lot of stuff could happen. Let's take a look at Jaylen Brown here using props.cash. And just kind of get an idea what he did last season at this number. 1.5 steals and blocks, 43% hit rate. Against the Chicago Bulls, though, 2 for 3 last season. Ended up racking up 4 and 5 stocks versus the Bulls. Did have one game where he only recorded 1. So 2 for 3 against the Bulls last season. 3 for 3 to open the season. Recording 3, 4, and 2. Yeah, I think I can get on board with you taking Jaylen Brown to go for more than 1.5 stocks. Let's get you a projection. His projection is 1.4. Right now, slight betting favorite to stay under at 1.5. I don't really play them because they're so random, but if you want to play some stocks, I guess I would lean toward the over and go against the betting public. I don't mind that one, Kyle. I just think that there's so many other ways to go tonight that you don't have to take that particular one. Shout out to the new subscribers. I see we got Will. Appreciate you subscribing. G Money 609, thanks for the sub. And Daniel, thank you for the sub as well. And thanks for all the likes. For all of you who have already slapped the like button today, thank you. If you haven't yet, here's your opportunity. Go ahead and hit that like button. Let's see if we can get it to 100 likes again, like we did a couple shows ago. That would be amazing. Amazing. Let's see here. What was the other one? Cole Anthony under assists. Yeah, I had him going under the other night against Boston. He ended up getting an assist in the final 30 seconds of that game against the Boston Celtics. So he ripped my heart out. He ripped my heart out in the fourth quarter with less than 30 seconds to go. But typically, Cole Anthony, under 5.5 assists, without Suggs, without Fultz, has been pretty darn good. I don't know if I'm going to go back to it for the less or underplay. But just real quick, taking a look at this one. Cole Anthony is projected for 5.6 assists. He is right now a slight betting favorite to go over. He is a New York guy. I think he looks to get buckets tonight more than he looks to drop dimes. So that could be one potential narrative type of situation where you could take the under on Cole Anthony. What else are you guys talking about? Let's see. Got about, 10, 15 minutes, we'll say. Take a few more of your questions here. We got Dongju Sun. Am I saying that right? Tyler Herro first half fantasy points. You're liking the first half. The first half. Maybe. Let's go take a look at that. NBA first half fantasy score. Tyler Herro. He is at 16.5. Whew. Wow. Well, he's definitely been getting the job done. Now, some of these games are from last season when he was coming off the bench, but as a starter, I mean, he's just been blowing the brakes off of 16.5 fantasy score. 25.3, 25.8, and 20.3 this season since being inserted into the starting lineup. Now, he's facing Toronto, same team that he faced last game. Dropped 20.3 fantasy score on him in that game. So, I mean, yes, he has already proven to us that he can get the job done. Now, if Scotty Barnes is out, maybe Tyler Herro's matchup becomes that much more easy. But, yeah, I mean, that's looking pretty good. Don't really have any projections or anything to give you on a first half fantasy score. But I think you pointed out a pretty good one there, my friend. It looks pretty nice. Bearded Gator saying Fred VanVleet over on steals. Maybe. Let's go look at Fred VanVleet. He's typically the type of guy with some sticky fingers. He's got some sticky fingers, right? The last few games, 5, 4, 4, 4, and 3. When it comes to steals, he racks them up. So it's looking pretty good there. Let's just see. I mean, just to be crazy, right? We'll just see how Fred VanVleet steals without Scotty Barnes. Let's just say Scotty Barnes is out. You got to finish it off with logs. But yeah, I mean, Fred VanVleet in 5 games played without Scotty Barnes. I just wanted to see how maybe Barnes' absence impacts this particular prop. He's 4 for 5. 4 for 5 without Scotty Barnes. Racking up 3, 2, 2, and 2. He even had 1. So he came close, but would have been death by hook. So he's 3 for 3 this season. He's 4 for 5 without Scotty Barnes. I mean, if you like it, even with Scotty Barnes ruled in, all right, I'm not going to talk you out of it. But with Barnes out, I think it looks pretty darn sweet. And I think I do have a projection. I think I do have a projection for you on some VanVleet steals. Let's go look them up. Fred VanVleet projected for 1.7 steals. He's a big betting favorite. Not huge, but minus 130 and minus 135 to go over. And let's look at the Miami Heat. Steals allowed to the point guard position. Are they turning the ball over? That's what we want to know. About 2 steals allowed per game to opposing point guards. So, yeah, all right. Not mad at it. If you guys have any questions that are hard-hitting, hard-pressed, that you must have an answer to, I can't guarantee I'm going to get to everybody's questions because there are so many in the chat. One way that you can support the channel and get your voice heard, leave a super chat. Super chats guarantee that whatever question you might have for me gets answered right here live on the show. So I appreciate that. Giovanni's pointing out one, Zach LaVine points over. Have I already looked at it? I have not talked any Zach LaVine points, but we can. Zach LaVine, I think he plays tonight, but, he's been kind of held out, and they've been sort of babying him, monitoring him. He's going up against the Chicago Bulls tonight, 20.5 points. Does seem kind of low. He had 23 against Cleveland in the last game. But stay on top of the news. Chicago Bulls, they like to rule a guy like LaVine out. I thought that they said something about him being monitored on back-to-back situations, which this is not. This is not a back-to-back. He played 2 days ago, though. So just be careful. Stay on top of the news. Let's go take a look at Zach LaVine real quick. Go to the points. We've already got Boston, Chicago pulled up here. LaVine's at 20.5. We just take a look at last season. At 20.5, 76% hit rate. So he had an easy time at 20.5. But he didn't have an easy time, not all the time, against the Boston Celtics. 26 points in one game, and then just 7 points in the next. That game where he scored 7, he only played 27.2 minutes. So I'm staying away from Zach LaVine right now because he has been on the injury report recently. I'm just a little bit leery of him. Just a little bit leery right now. But the number is pretty sweet at 20.5. So if you have confidence that he's going to play, get his full run of minutes, and that the Boston Celtics defense won't clamp him up, well then, take your overs on Zach LaVine's points. He is projected for 22.8. He is at 20.5 and 21.5 on different books today. At 20.5, some sites he's a slight favorite over. Some sites he's a slight favorite under. At 21.5, some sites he's a big betting favorite under at minus 140. Some sites a slight betting favorite to go over at 21.5. So I guess you're getting a point of value on Zach LaVine today at 20.5. So let's see, chat. What else do we have in here? We'll take a couple more of these and then we'll wrap things up. Jay Rodriguez is saying, could you look at Ja Morant for 40.5 PRA? He's liking the more on Ja Morant at 40.5 PRA, and he's liking Josh Hart for over 6.5 rebounds. Guys, did you catch Josh Hart yesterday? I mean, the guy out-rebounded everybody on the Portland Trail Blazers and everybody on the Los Angeles Lakers. Josh Hart must have been in his feelings, remembering when he was once an LA Laker playing in the formerly known as Staples Center. But yeah, Josh Hart was getting on the glass yesterday, big time. He had a double-digit rebounding performance. So crazy things for Josh Hart. I don't know if he could keep that sort of output up, or if he had one too many Red Bulls before the game, knowing he was playing against his former team, the Los Angeles Lakers. But I'll take the first half of that question, Jay, which was Ja Morant over 40.5 PRA, because Morant is in a marquee matchup. He is in a game situation where there's a lot of points. There's a lot of points expected to be scored here. He's also coming off of a bad game against Dallas. And I think this could be the perfect setup for a Ja Morant bounce back situation. I've seen some people liken him to go over his points, just as points by themselves. So you could go that route too. That wouldn't be a bad play. Like I said, I've seen some people on that one. But yeah, he's at 40.5 PRAs in a game that's going to hopefully be high scoring. They're saying 232.5 points with a spread of 1.5, which is tight, meaning the game should stay close and competitive. Dylan Brooks, if he's out, I probably like this a little bit more. Brooks tends to cut into both Desmond Bane and Ja Morant's production, his production a little bit. So keep an eye on the Dylan Brooks news. That's the only impactful piece of news here. But yeah, Ja Morant at 40.5 PRA. Let's go get you some statistics behind this particular pick here. Brooklyn and Memphis. We got Ja Morant at 40.5. We dial him down using props.cash. Again, if you're not a props.cash member yet and you want to be 25% off your first month, it's just $19.99 a month to get access to all these sweet graphs that you see on screen before you. But yeah, Ja Morant, dating back to last season, 51% hit rate covering this particular prop. You can even look at the splits using props.cash. How does he perform at home versus away, right? More PRA at home or more PRA away? He's playing at home tonight. So let's look at the away first. 39.8, 39.8, slightly on the lower side. But if we look at the home splits, slightly more, right? 41.7 PRA playing at home. And he has hit the over in 6 straight games dating back to last season. Playing at home, he has covered 40.5 PRA. 6 in a row and 7 of his last 8. So that's looking pretty good. He's been getting the job done at home for sure. For sure. Ja Morant projection, 39.4 points plus rebounds plus assists. So slightly less than the 40.5 number that he's at. But I will tell you this, you're getting a point of value in a high scoring game that expects to be close and competitive. I like that. So I'd probably snatch him up for more than 40.5, being that he is at 41.5 on most books. And again, the game is going to be high scoring and hopefully stay close. So Everyday Fantasy says, greetings, fam. Been here all stream. I see you up in Patreon. Hit the like, people. Hit the like. All right. All right. David Winker says, not a PrizePicks play, but he's liking my Orlando Magic at plus 245 versus the Knicks. It's just value. Listen, we're hanging tough and hanging tight, the Orlando Magic. We might be 0-3, but we're making it tough on some of these teams out there. Unless you guys have any last minute super chats or anything, I am going to take one more of these, and then we will wrap things up for today's show. But again, if you have any last minute pressing matters, pressing questions, definitely you can leave a super chat and I'll get to those. But let's look at two high bids. Tobias Harris under rebounds. Tobias Harris under rebounds. We have not talked about Tobias Harris a whole lot, but he's at 6.5 boards. He's going up against the Indiana Pacers. Harris, to start the season, is 1 for 3, covering 6.5 rebounds. So let's take a look at that one together, shall we? We'll go back and look at some numbers from last season. Indiana versus Philly tonight. It is expected to be a blowout. This would be a good game to possibly target some unders, with this game expected to be, out of hand. If Philly handles business, that is, then I could see some unders being in play for this one. So Tobias Harris, 25 for 45 dating back to last season at 6.5 boards. Just a 56% hit rate. Not great numbers, not like 60, 70+% hit rate at 6.5. You can see how, there we go. That was at home, by the way. That was just at home. All games, 49 for 88 dating back to last season, 56%. But yes, he is playing at home tonight, still 56% hitter when playing at home. Now, games against Indiana, he faced Indiana 3 times last season, only went over once, had 11 boards back in November. The other 2 games, close but no cigar, 6 and 4 against Indiana in his last 2 games. I wish Miles Turner was playing. I feel a little bit more confident about taking the under if Turner was in there, but okay. Maybe we go under on Tobias Harris in a blowout situation, right? Looking at the projection, 5.7 projected rebounds at 6.5 boards. He is being smashed for the under on your favorite sportsbook. So they don't like him to go for 7 or more rebounds. So yeah, I think it looks pretty solid. Tobias Harris under 6.5 rebounds. Maybe not my favorite pick of the day, but I think it's one that definitely deserves some consideration. Just 1 for 3 against Indiana last year, 1 for 3 to start the season this year. Projected to go under. Game's going to be a blowout. The public's taking the under as well. This might be one where you ride with the betting public and you just go ahead and click less on Tobias Harris for 6.5 boards. All right, gang, that's it. It's been about an hour. Try to keep these an hour or less. Don't want to go too long. For those of you who are watching the replay, I salute you. Thank you for all the likes. Please hit the like button on your way out. It helps get this video out, these picks out to more people and grow the channel. We're marching toward 7,000 subscribers. Hopefully we're there by, the end of the month. I think it could happen in the next week or so. We'll see. But it's going to take you guys helping me out, just like I helped you out with some player prop research today. Until tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern time, Good luck on your picks tonight. If you're in Patreon, I'll be posting some stuff later. We'll get on some Monday Night Football, and we'll tackle this NBA slate. Good luck, and peace.